Musically meditated.
Musically meditated. Musically meditated.
All right, welcome to Musically Meditated Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Riley. I have my co-host and the best producer in the game, Sreten Jovanovic. What's up, man?
Hey, man, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. We keep moving stuff around. We keep moving around, trying to set the studio up right.
It looks great. We're actually recording during the day. We're more nocturnal with this. I don't know. We may have recorded in the past during the day, like once or twice.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. I think the last time we did it was with Boyan when we did our record store day.
Yeah. You guys
episode.
were real sleepy.
We were real sleepy. We both got done with midnights or something like that, or he had like a long day before. But here we are. It's daytime.
Yeah, you did midnights. He had a child, like a 10-month-old at the time, and I was just up late because I'm an a-hole.
Right. You're
just with non-adult activities, whatever that means. Just staying up late, playing video games.
Yeah, playing video games. But Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa. If you're agnostic or atheist, happy whatever you get down to during the holidays.
Yeah. Happy winter time.
Happy winter time. Happy winter solstice.
Yeah.
Whatever you're into. But yeah, it is the holidays, and what's up, holiday people?
What's up, holiday
But
people?
at any rate, an album just came out within the last few weeks, and it's some rap songs by Earl Sweatshirt. So with this particular episode, it's just something I'm feeling in my gut, so I wanted to come in and get this off my chest. And what we're going to do is, who is Earl Sweatshirt and why is he important? And for those of you that are familiar, maybe I could give you a little insight of some background information that you didn't know about him, and go into his before releases, because I love a lot of his earlier stuff, and really dive into some rap songs, because I believe a few singles came out when we did our Best Hip Hop of 2018 with Rodney and Boyan.
Yeah.
In the first couple singles that I heard, I was like, what is this? And I remember Boyan and Rodney, they were both like, like what's going on here? Like, it was just real short. I didn't know if it was a clip. I didn't know what to expect, but first impression, first listen, I wasn't very floored by it at all.
Me neither.
Be quite honest. So
but you warned me.
Yeah, I did give you a warning. I wish I wouldn't have, but yeah, it's just it's not really an easy listen or pill to digest after first listen. But
if you would not have warned me, you would have gotten a text back that just had 2 letters, 1 word, no.
No, not feeling it, bro. Let's move on. But first things first, my first encounter with Earl Sweatshirt, I had to really think about this, but it's obviously Odd Future related, which is a rap collective that was started by Tyler, the Creator. And I believe I heard him on an Odd Future release, but then he really stuck out on some of Tyler's solo stuff. And Tyler got my attention when he blew up with the Goblin record, and he had that one video. It was all black and white. It was weird. Tyler's weird, but in a good way. And he like ate a cockroach and threw up. I don't know if it's Goblin or no, it's Yonkers. It's the song Yonkers. So, I started to dive deep into Odd Future. Earl was always there, and that's how he caught my attention. It was like a Spotify thing, but it was probably in like 2014, 2015. Like, I got into him after a lot of his bigger releases. So
Google it, nerds.
Google it. But that's my background with Earl, Now, as time has gone, or time keeps going on, like I'll always revisit his particular work, and he's one of my favorite rappers in the game. So with some rap songs, like I was really looking forward to it. So here it is. Wasn't able to discuss it on my favorite hip hop albums of the year, 2018. This is why I kind of hate when artists do this too. Like they drop something right in December. And so if you're like really nerdy and really specific about dates, it kind of throws a monkey wrench in there. And
It's sort of why we created. So we had the playlist, like your playlist, 20 albums of the year, and we put some singles that you picked out on that list for Spotify. If you use Spotify and you're a fan of the show, it's a living playlist. Get your hands on the playlist and add the music that you like. That's why we did it, because there's still like almost 3 weeks left in the year. And technically, when people do best of stuff, they sometimes incorporate stuff until the end of January. It's like it's really open interpretation. So just add to it. Right. I will subtract.
Yeah, no.
If something on there, I'm like, oh, I might take it off, but we'll leave it on there. We want to get kind of crazy with that list. There's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, please. Yeah, feel free to participate and add stuff, because I think we mentioned on our last episode, the top 20 of 2018. it's just my opinion or it's just your opinion.
Right.
We're not like music hierarchy. I'd love to get feedback from people and hear what they're into. So this is all like a communal thing here. It's not. It's not that my opinion's greater than yours. It's just, hey, this is what I like. What do you like?
I'm going to talk right into the camera. If your response is, why didn't you? Well, sorry about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, just
add it.
Just add stuff.
Yeah. We just made that sweet, sweet eye contact.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah,
Smile
it makes an
guy.
impression. But yeah, add to it.
Add to it.
We called it the Living Playlist, so it's a dumb nickname, but add to it, man.
Add to it.
We like your music, so
yeah, we're open-minded here. We want to hear from you. We want to hear from you. But at any rate, look for Musically Meditated on all podcast platforms, YouTube. Please subscribe. Especially to the people that I don't know personally that listen to this, which there are quite a few according to our numbers. But share this stuff with someone that you would think that would enjoy this content. We'd really appreciate it. And then please reach out to us. I've been getting people sending me some messages, a lot of California action and whatnot, which is pretty cool because here we are in the Chicago region. So it's nice to hear from people on the West Coast. If you want to send us some
love,
a lot of Texas love and California love.
Yeah.
So at any rate, please share this with people. We'd really appreciate it. But let's move on to Earl. So I'm going to give a little background here. His real name, I hope I pronounced this correctly, is Taib Naruba Gassiso. So
perfect.
Yeah, that's kind of a hard one. So sorry, Earl, if I didn't pronounce that right, but it's kind of a hard one to go, to say at any rate. His stage name is goofy in itself, Earl Sweatshirt, and a lot of people believe that he's paying homage to James Pants, who is kind of an electronic, kind of like, I believe he's from Canada, but he's kind of like a one-man band, but he's an awesome producer.
No relation to Tom Nisak?
No,
Sorry, terrible joke.
Who's Tom?
He's nobody.
Okay.
I just thought of a first name in an article of clothing.
Well, that's your new rapping name.
Tom Nisak.
You're Tom Nisak.
AKA.
But yeah, James Pants, Earl's been quoted to, saying that he really likes James Pants. So people believe that that's where maybe he got the silly name Earl Sweatshirt. Even more so, he believes that he's an old soul and he really likes old people names. So that's why he picked it. And that's why he named his first album Doris. So that's that. As far as his background goes, it's pretty interesting. His parents, his mother, she's a law professor from UCLA, and then his father was a South African poet and a political activist here in the States. And his dad was credited for merging South African poetry and U.S. Black American poetry. So that's a really cool background.
Very cool.
So at any rate, unfortunately, his dad, his mom and dad got a divorce. He was probably around 10 years old or whatever. But this particular, life experience kind of painted a picture for what he was going to do with his art in the future. It was just like a life event. Obviously, it was traumatic. Divorce sucks. I think everybody would agree with that. So, it kind of influenced maybe some of his darker stuff. It's a scar. It is what it is, and a lot of people deal with it. But he started to rap at 16 years old, and he was really influenced by Lil Wayne and the skateboard hip-hop culture. How it's kind of there. It's kind of prevalent, especially like in the 90s. And what's that movie that just came out with Jonah Hill did? It's something about like growing up in the 90s.
Yeah. I don't remember the name of it.
It's kind of based off his life. But yeah, they're all skating. And remember, like Wu-Tang kind of infiltrated that particular
Is that when it
culture.
Started?
Yeah, I was
about to
90s.
make the claim that it was something that's maybe like 6 or 7 years old, but that's cool.
No, it's been around. I mean, it could have started in the 80s too.
Makes
I don't
sense,
really know, but I know for me being a 90s kid and like yourself, like it was always there.
Yeah.
So Earl's like 24, so he's what, 10 or 11 years younger than me. So apparently it was still a big thing. And I know Lil Wayne's like huge. Like he's actually a pretty good skateboarder.
Yeah.
So, all that kind of goes together. So what he did is he really started to like hip hop. And these are the MySpace days. Remember the MySpace days?
Oh, yeah.
I miss them. I really liked them for social media.
You get to express yourself on MySpace and put giant mobile pictures of like Joker and
Joker, some tribal art.
Ridiculous stuff. Yeah.
Right. Some sweet tribal art.
Yeah, Brian Urlacher's tribal tattoos all over your MySpace page.
Right. He's my hero, and then your own playlist and your own blog. It was great.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was great. But at any rate, he started his own rap page or whatever, and it was called Sly Tendencies on MySpace. And then he was eventually discovered by Mr. Tyler Creator, and Tyler liked what he had to say. He liked his production and whatever, and he asked him to join Odd Future, and that's where it went from Sly Tendencies to Mr. Earl Sweatshirt. He then released, like 6 months after he joined Odd Future, he released his first mixtape for free called Earl. And Tyler produced it. And not only that, like you could download it for free off the Odd Future website. So Odd Future was definitely ahead of their time with all this nowadays of tutorial after tutorial of how to build your audience and your fan base with online and media and so on and so forth. Like they were ahead of their time.
Right.
So shout out to Odd Future for sure. So with this particular mixtape album, whatever you want to call it, it had some really cool, witty, and edgy offbeat lyrical content, because that's kind of Earl's approach. And especially with Odd Future, too, they always, with their production, it always has like a very cool and elegant, like polished vibe to it. And then raw, too, at the same time. Like, it definitely caught my ear, like the Goblin track from Tyler. I know I'm going back a little bit, but a focus on more of the boom bap 4/4 type of beat measure or whatnot. Sometimes they'll jazz it up with like a 4/7 beat per measure, or however you want to say it. But kind of like the roots of hip hop. They would go back there and then they'd put some jazzy instrumentals or whatnot. So yeah, that's what was going on with that particular album, and it did really well and it blew up. But he was only 16 when this came out. So a lot of the lyrical content would be something that your mother probably wouldn't care for, right? Mm-hmm. So his mom, being probably, I would guess, a strict mother, without a father around, and seems like she's pretty bright, being a professor of law at UCLA, which is one of the best schools in, the country, especially for law. She got really mad and really upset, and she was freaked out on his teenage rebellion. He was experimenting with drugs and drinking and whatnot. So she listened to lyrical content, got upset, and actually told Odd Future, "You cannot use my son anymore." You know what I mean? As far as one of your artists, and don't release any more of his music. And she actually shipped him away to a boarding school in Sonoma, or Samoa. Really? How do you say it?
Sonoma?
Not Sonoma.
Arizona?
No, Samoa, a different country.
Oh,
yeah. And this place was so strict that he would have to ask them when he could relieve his bodily fluids, aka take a pee or poop.
Man.
Yeah. So it was a rehab center that helped young men deal with emotional problems and substance abuse. So while this was going on, Odd Future and Tyler and all of them, being the geniuses that they are, they started a Free Earl campaign. So,
that's funny.
Apparently, like, Earl got his shit together, and he was able to. They were letting him write rhymes eventually. Like, he got his shit together. He was a stand-up guy. He would tell people, "Hey, this is what you need to do." So he was going along with the program and working on himself, right? So they gave him the notepad. He started writing rhymes, got wind of the Free Earl thing that they were doing, came back, and he mentioned on his Twitter, "I need 50,000 followers. If I get 50,000 followers, I'll put out a new album." And he got the 50,000 followers in 3 hours. So that's pretty amazing.
That is really amazing.
Just like to go back, like, with doing a podcast or whatever your art is, or a band, right. Using the internet as your tool to grow a fan base. I mean, if it's good, it's good. Their music's good, right? Yeah. But just starting this cool little cult following and doing this kind of stuff, and the Free Earl campaign, it's just brilliant and genius.
It is brilliant, yeah.
It's really cool. So by the time he actually gets back, that mixtape, his first mixtape, really had like a cult following, and Odd Future had blown up. And then he noticed the whole Free Earl thing. And like I said, he got those followers really quick. So he drops his first, he drops Doris in 2013. But when he did come back, he actually linked up with a manager. Her name's Leela Steinberg. And she's out in California, because Odd Future and Earl are all from Cali. And she's the one who helped Tupac jump off, his bigger commercial career. Like when Pac went out to L.A., he linked up with her. So pretty smart move with Mr. Earl Sweatshirt,
Right.
So he linked up with her. Then he dropped Doris. Now Doris, it was number 5 on the Billboard's Top 200 when it was released. This is my favorite record by him. He's got some crazy off-kilter lyrical content, and the production is really grimy, gritty, and he starts to show a little bit of his minimalist approach to a lot of his music, very stripped down, even with some of his lyrics. But I know you listen to some rap songs today. We'll get there, but I'm sure you could feel like a little bit of the minimalist obsession
on some of it.
Some of it. So what's really cool about this record too, it has a lot of features. Some notable ones, obviously Tyler, the Creator, Mac Miller, who just passed away, rest in peace, Frank Ocean, Vince Staples, and the RZA from Wu-Tang. Yeah. And a few of my favorite tracks here. Burgundy's amazing. Sunday, that's a great track too. It's like a breakup song, and it's about his frustration with having poor communication with his particular girlfriend at the time, but it's really personal, really in depth. Hive is my favorite song by him. This is a good place to start. Earl Sweatshirt Hive. It just shows his awesome flow and his creative lyricism and kind of wacky and personal lyrics. Chum, which is probably number 1 on his Spotify playlist. This is an amazing track too. It's probably my second favorite one. It just really shows his off-timing rhyme scheme, like having like a basic beat, but he's kind of jumping and, all over the place. And it has the great minimalist production style, and there's like a really cool piano loop sample, and it's kind of off time, and it's following more of the boom bap drum beat, if that makes any sense. I think it does. Yeah. So
is it an insult if you describe the music as saying you can take out any of the instrumentals and put other instrumentals into it? Or is that like a wrong thing to say? Like to say, do you know what I mean? Like whatever, let's just say generic track names. Track 1,
yeah,
you could take his lyrics and insert them into track 3 and change, like keep the instrumentals and just take out the lyrics and swap them out. Is that a negative criticism? That's what I feel, but it still goes together well.
Yeah, it goes together well, or like almost like a remix kind of is what you're saying, right? Like switch around the
kind of like, how let's say track 1 has its lyrics and its instrumentation, and then track 2 has the same thing, and you can actually like switch them out. His rap style is like it doesn't lean on the instrumentals.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a good way of
I
putting
just don't know if that's a criticism when I say that.
No, I don't believe
I don't
so.
see it as a good or bad. It's just how I describe it.
Yeah, how you describe it, how you interpret it. No, I think especially with Earl and Odd Future and Tyler and all of them, their production reflects their personality very well, and with this Doris album, it was a collaborative effort with different producers, and I think this one has more of Tyler's production on it, but they kind of complement, their style, their production, and their rap styles. It complements one another, like they flow very well together, kind of like a reference, like, or a similarity between Dre and Eminem, or, Dre and Snoop, like they have that really good togetherness, like especially like a Dre and a Snoop, like it goes well together. But this album too is like it's confident yet dark, like with Earl, and especially like his age in particular, and all the rappers that are coming out, they're real swaggy, so to speak, or real bloaty, bloat this, gun tote that, this and that. Well, he's more personal, and not only that, he's real clever. So I think he's really awesome and important for that particular generation's rappers. I mean, I'm judging this on what I grew up liking, and enjoying and celebrating, in the 90s. And it's perfect because this is with this particular album and his rap styles. And sometimes it's monotone. Like there's not usually a ton of high pitch or emotion, so to speak, but he definitely wears his MF Doom influences on his sleeve with this, so I've been quoted to say, he's my favorite rapper alive right now. And he still is. I love MF Doom. And, he does the weird, I'd like to say like hopscotch rhyme patterns. Like he can rhyme a syllable, I don't know, like in the 3rd bar to like the 8th bar. Like it's like, he'll put in a bunch and then rhyme it by the 8 bar, the 8 measure, however you want to put it. But he'll even like cleverly put it in between different measures and stuff. there's a really cool Odd Future YouTube video where it's all of them together, and it's like on one of Tyler's albums. It's the last track, or I don't know if it's the Odd Future. It doesn't really matter, but they all get a chance to rap, and Earl's part comes up, and it's really impressive. Like, there's some YouTube channels too that really break down rappers' bars. I know I've posted this particular one on the Musically Meditated group page for Facebook, but they'll color code everything so you could follow it around like you're learning. It's really cool. And Earl's is just, for this particular track, it's amazing. But he's definitely influenced by MF Doom, and I know Cameron as well. But he doesn't shy away from that. And there's some cool footage. MF Doom doesn't come out a lot, like he doesn't come out, he doesn't perform often. But Odd Future was over in Europe, and MF Doom actually showed up because he has a tendency not to. But he showed up and performed, and it was really cool. They filmed it. It was Earl and Tyler together, and they got to meet him. And, like, it's filmed, and they're just totally nerding out. Like, they're seeing their hero. So everybody go back and check that out.
I'm boggled by the fandom of MF Doom because he calls himself a villain, and he just doesn't show up to shows. And people
deal with it.
How does he get away with the stuff he does?
I don't know.
Who else could?
Only MF Doom, I guess.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't like it.
I don't like it either. I don't like the not showing up to shows shit. That's not cool.
But that's another story.
But that's a whole nother story.
I'm fascinated by it.
But yeah, so, if you're an MF Doom fan, I think Earl will, cleanse your palate, so to speak, or agree.
Scratch that itch.
Or scratch that itch. But now I want to move on to his next album, which is I Don't Like Shit. I Don't Go Outside. He took a couple years off. This was released, I believe, in 2015. And this album is like a spin or a concept album that's influenced by the book. Now, you might know this because, you own a bookstore, Sreten, called The Green Door. The book was called Been Down So Long Looks Like Up to Me. Have you ever heard of that?
Nope.
Okay. But I don't know. I think the book had something to do with like the 60s counterculture and struggle and everything that was going on, during Vietnam War and, whatchamacallit, just eternal chaos in the U.S. But with this particular album, it's really obsessed. Like, you could tell he's really obsessed with minimalism and being a minimalist, like with the beats and the flows. It's more refined. It's gritty. It's dark. It's lo-fi. And it's really short in comparison to Doris, because I know Doris had like 15 to 17 tracks, a ton of cameos, and a lot of guests. And with this, the only notable features that I really remember was Wiki from Rat King. I love Wiki. And Vince Staples. Vince Staples is another guy that he's produced a lot of stuff for.
Yeah.
We've talked about him on the podcast too. But lyrically with this particular album, it's not as witty as Doris, and it's a little bit more straightforward. And he actually produced the entire thing by himself. And I think this was when Earl, the artist, was trying to find himself and maybe shake the Odd Future off of him, not in a disrespectful way, but as an artist going into his own lane, which is cool. And it has a lot of different layers, and he's being more vulnerable. And I've talked about that a million times on the podcast. When an artist is extremely vulnerable, it's relatable, it's good art. And it's just it's a good. It's not like a sophomore slump, but it's a good sophomore album.
Right.
So, he's no stranger to taking his time. So that was released in, I believe, 2015. So here we are, 2018. Well, in the meantime of this going on, he was going through some personal problems. Now, Odd Future had broke up, and there were some rumors of him and Tyler not getting along anymore, just starting to surface a little bit. And he actually canceled his European tour this past summer because of depression and anxiety issues. And then he was also trying to deal with the loss of his father. I guess his dad unfortunately passed away unexpected. I think it was before the tour, and he was trying to deal with the grief of that. And then he was a really good friend of Mac Miller too, and Mac Miller passed away this summer. So there's just some, the dude was going through some stuff. And he actually joined the Celebration of Life show for Mac Miller that happened this past fall. I think it was in October. And he joined some other acts with this. John Mayer being one of them, Action Bronson, Chance the Rapper, Domo Genesis, Earl Sweatshirt, Schoolboy Q, SZA. There's your brother's favorite artist ever, SZA. What's up, boy? On Thundercat, Travis Scott, Ty Dolla $ign, Vince Staples, and this took place in L.A. So, you know, sorry Europe that he canceled on you. That sucks, but he obviously had some shit to deal with, some personal stuff. Yeah. And now that's going to be perfect time to go into the album, Some Rap Songs, that was released in December. So he did that show for Mac, and I was really anticipating this particular album, and I wasn't keeping up with anything, so to speak, like knowing that he was going to release an album this year. I you know, being a big fan, I wasn't keeping up with it. I didn't know, and this came out of nowhere and
snuck up on you.
It snuck up on me. And going back to Rodney and your brother, when we did our favorite hip hop albums, you know, like this came out and everybody was like, with the single, because the album wasn't out. Let me right. say the single, we were just whatever about it. And like I talked to some of my other hip hop friends and like my cousin Ian, who's a huge Earl Sweatshirt guy too. Yeah, shout out to Ian. You know, like just texting back and forth, like, I don't know about this. I don't know about this. So Sreten, you checked it out today. I've been talking here for a second. What's your opinion after a few listens? Just
you
in
texted
general.
me the list.
What's the story?
I had today to listen. You told me it takes about 3 listens. You'll hate it at first, I think, and I did. The first listen, I hated it, and then I'm always doing some kind of construction, so I was listening, and I had my headphones on, and I started to slowly understand and like it, and I told you before we started recording, I don't know, I don't want to get religious, philosophical, or anything, but sometimes some movies, music, people, whatever, enter your world, and I don't want to get all serious either, because it's not that serious.
Get serious,
but
dude.
it was exactly what this album was exactly some of the stuff I needed to hear today.
Okay.
Which is crazy. Some of the lyrics, to me, and I come at a lot of this hip hop stuff, actually a lot of the music we listen to, I come at it from zero background knowledge, zero historical knowledge. You know, I don't know about any of the groups he's been in. I don't know anything. I'm just coming at it from, here, listen to this, man. What do you think? And with I could almost not identify other voices either in it, like if other people are featured in it. I know I appreciated the Black Dynamite, Tommy.
Was that sample in the beginning?
Yeah, the sample. It's
Is
like,
that what that's
I run
from?
Stuff now.
I'm running things.
Yeah. That's from Black Dynamite.
Okay, I was wondering where that was from.
At least I'm like 99% sure.
Okay.
And but then like some of the other samples, there was like a female giving a speech. What sounded like at least a South African. I mean, I like that accent. The roll in the R's, like that's one of my favorite accents.
Yeah, we'll get into that. That's his father and his mother.
Is it? Oh,
yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did not know that. That makes it more like I didn't know that. That's cool.
It's cool.
But I came into it, so the first song was just like, all right, you're going to start listening to this, and this is how the hip-hop's going to go, this is how the lyrics are going to be delivered, this is the sampling, this is what the instrumentals are going to be, all that. And then, so that, I'm looking at the list, and you're going to go song by song, but I'm going to go quickly through them.
Yeah, go through them real quick.
Because there's not that many.
You do the song by song.
It's a less than 30-minute thing, and I'm just going to tell you the ones that still stuck in my brain. So, Red Water, I appreciate how much I didn't like it. It gave me a bad feeling, like listening to it, the sound, the samples, like there's a dude singing in it, and I don't know what that is.
There's like something hypnotizing about that guy singing.
There is.
You didn't like it?
There is, and I understand what he was doing and with the lyrics and everything, like, but it was so unnerving to me, and I was just like, oh, I don't like this song.
There's something very uneasy and anxious about this whole record.
It made me very, about the whole record, yeah. I would have agreed on a first or second listen. After I kept listening, I was like, okay. By the time I got done, I probably ended up listening like 5 times. I needed a break because it was just a lot of the same stuff over and over, just because I kept repeating.
Yeah.
But by the time I got Cold Summer, I would think like made me kind of like brought me back to it, and then I really like Nowhere to Go. That's the first one that some of the lyrics. Unfortunately, as I always do, I don't have any written down right now, but that's when I started to enjoy some of the stuff that he was saying, some of the random things. I feel like his songs go together, and I apologize if this is a negative criticism, but like,
no, it's your opinion, man.
It's almost just like one-liners. The whole time is just one-liners, but when you gather all the one-liners, it paints the picture of the song. but it's not narrative. My history with hip hop is I like narrative hip hop. I was a big Ice Cube and Ice-T guy. Ice-T would tell a story every time. He had one song in OG, one of the albums, where he just talked about one night.
Well, not to cut you off, but I think I disagree with you. I believe each track is a perfect representation of a story of something he's gone through the 2 years that he's taken a break.
Okay.
That's how I interpret it. You know, I nerded out because I didn't like this at all. Like after the first couple of listens, like I really didn't like reaching out to people like this is garbage, blah, blah, blah. But there was something with the production that kept me going back. And then I actually nerded out and got the lyrics, you know what I'm saying? And looked at it because I tried to stay away from reviews and other people's opinions until I can digest the music. And I did go back to Fantano from the Needle Drop because I respect his opinion. I don't always agree, but I was really curious to see what he had to say. And Fantano loved it. He really did. He's like, hey, there's some parts that it's kind of blotchy, this and that, but it's a really good piece of art. So I was like, okay, you know, people's opinions really influence you. That's why we try to keep it positive here, and we only talk about what we like.
Right.
But so I went back to revisit it, and I followed the lyrics along with it, like really, really in depth. Like I probably listened to this thing 35 times this week, you know. But it's a short listen. It's only 24 minutes long, but I kind of think it's following a theme of a story of bad shit that's going on in his life. But go ahead.
Well, that's another thing with hip hop with me. Probably have ADD. So when I listen to things, some stuff goes over my head, but I latched onto a few of the lyrics. But yeah, Nowhere to Go was the first one, and then, you know, being under the gun here, like trying to remember what else like caught my ear.
Yeah.
With the other songs, there was a lot of good stuff, but Azucar, excuse me, wow, Azucar was another song I really enjoyed, and then Peanut was something that I enjoyed but didn't like, but I liked it. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
I didn't like it.
I'm going to get into that a little bit.
I also really liked it.
Yeah, it's monotone and weird.
But Azucar was, if I had to say which song was my favorite on here, that's currently my favorite.
Azucar, however you say it.
Yeah, I don't even know how to say it.
Yeah, I think lyrically with this, with a lot of it, and certain tracks in particular, I'll get into that, but it's dealing with grief and death, definitely family issues, and there's some, you know, poverty, like actual, like what's going on in the country, and maybe like some inner city struggles. There's a few tracks that, you know, there's some songs about that and how he's interpreting it. And then more importantly, mental health. I mean, this is a really dark album, and I hope everything's okay with the guy because he opens up. Yeah. You know, like if you really dissect these lyrics, and it's super personal, and, you know, like the actual sound too, it's like super refined. And, you know, I think with Earl and this particular album, like it's a really good way of him expressing himself artistically, like maybe more now as a man. Like if you go back to Doris or I Don't Like Shit, like, you know, he was still in his youth and a little bit more vibrant. Now he's growing into an adult and into a man, and unfortunately, you know, that comes with some loss. Right. You know, so what he's doing here with this album is, I think he didn't give a shit what anybody expected or what anybody wanted, and really took all the things that he's been digesting the last couple of years and put it out the way he wanted to. And like, even with like the production style of this, it's extremely like experimental, jazzy, trip hop, you know, like it almost seems like he's cutting certain samples and loops from just like really random lo-fi. I don't know where he's getting it from, but it really caught my ear in the way he's like able to piece it together. It's pretty beautiful, but extremely abstract. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, on me. Yeah, it's a grower. It's not a shower at all. You know, so people are listening to that have no idea who Earl Sweatshirt is. Definitely check out Doris, you know, and go back into this. But I think it's a really important piece of art in hip hop to talk about before the end of the year. I just had to do it. I think like what he's really doing too is addressing his past. Like you said, you didn't really see a narrative tone, but I do. You know, the one, there's two tracks in particular, the Bands and Lucy. I think he's going over some of his issues, maybe with Odd Future and Tyler. There's some lyrical content there that might point in that direction. Like, I don't want to start rumors and all that shit, but you know, he's moving on now. Right. Like I don't know. I think they're cool, but you could tell like maybe some not like a diss track, like a hip hop diss track, but just kind of like I said, like this is like his diary almost of some shit that's gone on the last 2 years. So maybe some issues with Tyler or Odd Future on those particular 2 tracks, and then family issues. Playing Possum, that song is definitely. Oh no, that's the song that samples his father doing like he's reading a poem. Remember you said you heard something like South African, and he did that as like a tribute to his dad because his dad wasn't able to hear this particular album, and they really didn't have the best relationship anyway. So this was his way of, sending like a dedication and a shout out to his dad, which is really, really cool. And then the next track, too, Peanut, this is the one that you're like, I don't like it, but I do like it. And I think that this is a song, if you look at the lyrics, it's him just coping with the death of his dad, and actually grieving. I think it's really, really personal. And it sounds kind of like druggy, too, like your brain doesn't work very well, or it works patchy during grief, or at least mine has in the past. And I think there's, if you dig deep into the lyrics here, there's no question that he's been, experimenting with different substances, and he refers certain drugs, but I'm not going to go there,
right?
Because drugs suck. But it does. It sounds like a drug-induced grieving process or whatever. He's got some lyrics here that say, "Death has a sour taste. Bless my pops. We sent him off not an hour late." So there's some really personal stuff going on here. But yeah, and then right after that, it falls into a song called Riot, which is different from the rest of the album. And this is kind of like an instrumental jazz thing. And this was his uncle. I guess his uncle was maybe his dad's, I think it's his dad's brother. But if you listen to it, it's just like a loop sample of like a jazz track because his uncle was a jazz musician. And this was like a dedication to him too. So it kind of like he goes into the grieving process with Peanut, and then, you know what I'm saying? Like has, what I mean? Like it's kind of like a closure or like a tribute to like important people in his life that have passed away. So that's what I got with Riot. And I'm trying to think if there's any other tracks.
Riot's the last track, right?
Yeah, I think so.
That's what the list said, like Peanut and then Riot.
Yeah, it goes Peanut and Riot.
I think I didn't put it on shuffle, but I think maybe I was listening too much on repeat.
But Peanut's
I got to listen again.
Yeah,
I'm going to listen again.
It's hard. Like that. Like, see, with the flows here too, like people might not like you asked too, like, I don't know if this shit's mumble rap or what. Like he's never been the most enthusiastic with his voice when he's rhyming. Okay. But with this, like I don't even know how he raps to these beats and these samples or however you want to put it with the production. I mean, it's a different off-kilter rhyme structure,
right?
But he is not extremely enthusiastic, but I think it just reflects on the dude's mood right now, or the last 2 years. So it's super personal. And I think it's awesome, but
I'm going to listen a few more times.
But it's definitely something you have, or I suggest, I can't tell you how to listen to music. That's kind of shitty, but start to finish, and it's only 24 minutes. And there's something about it too. Like, I don't know if it's like maybe a weird way of I'm interpreting it, or like a drug thing, but there's something addicting to the instrumentals. Like I keep going back, because I reached out to Rodney and Boyan. I'm like, I know we said we didn't like this. I think it was more Rodney and I, but I'm like, you guys got to give it another try, give it another shot. Like I've listened to it 20 times.
What did he say? Did he say anything?
They didn't say anything yet. Okay. I haven't heard anything back from them, but yeah, there's something just really like, I don't know.
I agree.
Ain't it? It's weird.
It just makes me think about how little I used to be just crazy about hip hop, and now when I listen to something like this, it just scratches the surface of all the stuff, and I could easily get overwhelmed. But I think I'm just going to focus on this for now, and then see what happens.
Yeah,
I really did enjoy this.
I really don't think an album like this could come out any other time besides 2018. I don't think this would have worked out well for him at all if he released it as his first record. Does that make any sense? Like you have to have a following and a fan base to put something out this personal.
Yeah.
But I do applaud him for not giving a shit what anybody else thinks. There's not a lot of features. I think there's like maybe 2 other rappers on this, and it's short. It's not necessarily sweet, but it's just it's a good piece of art, man.
What do they say with albums with bands? Which album? I know your second one is supposed to be when you actually show your chops and prove like
but your third is pretty crucial.
But which one is it where people are like, all right, this is the time when they kind of are going to experiment? Is there ever a time?
I would say 3. Like that's where are you going to follow the same sound or are you going to do something different? And here he is.
Hey, he did. He took a chance.
Took a total chance, and it's not something that's going to be on at the club. It's not something it's not a party record. It's for a I don't know.
I wish if I get a chance, I'm going to try to remember the lyrics and write them down and maybe put them on the YouTube comments or on the Facebook page, because there were a couple of them that just on a personal level with me, when he said those, I was like, okay, like I told you earlier, like I hear you. Like when you're saying this, I hear you.
I hear you.
And it was, it was just, it's scattered throughout the whole album.
It is scattered. It is.
Where I was like, I think I was in the back of the bookstore and there was one lyric in particular that I was like, hell yeah.
Okay.
And it wasn't one of those, like, it wasn't like a pump up thing. It was just a comment that he made, because a lot of it is like just comments, quick comments. But it was something that just rang with me, like very personally with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, with all of us, when we listen to music, obviously it's personal or it's nothing. I mean, you're listening to it.
Right.
It's a really stupid thing to say.
But no, it's just, I wanted to get this record out there for our listeners so they could check it out, and definitely, check out who Earl Sweatshirt is. Like I said, I think he's really important for the future of hip hop. I like where he's going and what direction. We'll see what happens next.
Right.
Like I hated this. I really did. Like I did not like it for like the first probably 4 or 5 listens, but something started to click. Then I nerded out and got into the lyrics a little bit deeper. And like I said, people's reviews will maybe push you a certain way. So, Fantano kind of was like, hey, check this out and give it a chance. You might not like it. And he's right. And I don't think it could be any longer than 24 minutes either. Like there's no way I could sit through something this, I don't want to say dull, but it's kind of a dull listen or a dark listen. Like it's perfect timing.
Yeah.
Like almost like a radio station vibe. Like you just go to the next station. I feel like it's almost like that. Like you get a perfect little snippet of something else you like, then you go to the next one. And I think that's what he's kind of doing here, like telling a story real quick with each track, because a lot of these are only like a minute and a half long.
Yeah. They're super short.
Super short. So yeah, everybody check out Some Rap Songs by Earl Sweatshirt. He's important for hip hop. I like what he's doing. And that's all we have to say. So now, Sreten, let's move on to some hate mail. I guess we did receive some.
It's been a while. And, hey, Lansing, what's up?
Is it Lansing again?
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of lovers from Lansing.
We do and we don't. They're very bipolar when they write these. So,
okay.
And there's only one, so we're cool.
Okay.
Because less and less, or they're sporadic, whatever. Or we ignore them and delete them.
Yeah, if they're really mean. No, we pretty much put it out there, but we won't put your name out there. Maybe.
He left his first name.
Okay.
So.
Okay, go ahead.
We won't read last names, but he didn't leave us. Okay. Dear Joe and Sreten of Musically Meditate. Did you recently change the name of the show or what, Sreten?
Oh, yeah.
I thought you had eye surgery and now have 20/20 vision. Prove it. Quit embarrassing yourself. Then it says kisses. Also, comma, space, I think you're pretty hot, bro.
There we go. Yeah, you did make a mistake. You did, yeah.
I make mistakes?
He made a mistake. It's all right.
But it's a big one and it's not changeable. Like I have to make a whole new video. But I did put Musically Meditate.
Oh, well. It's okay.
Whatever. All right. It says, I do enjoy the camera on the YouTube channel, and I like that you keep stepping up the production game. Onwards and upwards, fellas. By upwards, I mean production and viewership numbers, not numbers on the scale. And they wrote, ha 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 ha. You can tell it's the holiday season, guys. Shit, Thanksgiving was weeks ago. You two look like it's been the holiday season for about 4 months now.
Well, hey, man, the camera adds what, 10 pounds?
Yeah.
Is that what we're going to say?
Yeah. It says, use your end of the year playlist and reintroduce yourselves to the treadmill.
Damn.
And then more ha-ha-has. Last thing, it's been over a month with no Deftones or Morrissey talk. Is something wrong? Have you been listening to Korn and The Cure instead?
Ooh, putting those two on the same page, huh?
Tell us. And then it says, no, it's all good. Love the last few episodes. Keep it up, guys. And thanks for letting us hate. It is very cathartic. I don't know if he's using that word right. Jeffrey from Lansing, Illinois. It's Jeffrey from Lansing, Illinois.
Come on,
Jeffrey.
Jeff. Get together, Jeff.
Yeah, so that's it. Okay. So I first of all would like to say I think it's funny because I didn't know this, that to put Deftones and Korn in the same world is sort of blasphemy.
Yeah.
But Morrissey and The Cure is good, dude.
Yeah, The Cure's great. Morrissey and Robert Smith, the singer from The Cure, they hate each other. Excuse me, they hate one another.
Well, we like both.
It's on record. Yeah, I love them both.
I still like Korn more than the Deftones.
Do you?
But I don't like Korn anymore.
Look at you.
I like 2 or 3 Korn songs.
No, I mean, I love Korn. I love their first 2 albums. What was it? Follow the Leader. I mean, yeah, Korn had a huge impact on me when I was a kid. I don't really go back and revisit them like I do the Deftones, you know.
Yeah.
But no, they have a spot in my life and in my heart. And you know, a lot of people are always taking a big shit on new metal. But hey, man, like that was a really cool time. Like I don't know if there'll be another time like that where maybe an aggressive style of music or rock and roll could reach so many people, like on a touring level, like that did. You know, like kind of like equivalent to like 80s hair metal. You know, like new metal was pretty profitable for these record labels, and it was a cool scene, and it was kind of like an arena rock deal. You know, so it was special. So I'm glad I grew up in that era. I mean, there's some cringeworthy shit. You know, like I ain't gonna lie, like I don't know, like Follow the Leader. That's where they started to lose me. But yeah, you're getting me out of my Korn closet, so to speak. But yeah, man, Korn had a time, you know, and I mean, they're cool.
We don't have to talk about it.
All right, I'll get off of that. But all right, I'm going to move on to this, which is the meditate on this section. So everybody, get real spiritual with me. Sreten, do your poses.
We saw Karate Kid.
Oh, okay. Or don't do your Wim Hof thing on Mike because
no, it's very aggressive.
It'd be very aggressive and freak people out. Yeah. But all I have to say is, don't judge my opinion without understanding my reasons. All right. Like I've been kind of feuding with some people in my personal life in the last couple of weeks. And, you know, some things were, misunderstood, or maybe you don't agree with my opinions necessarily, and stuff with, my top 20. I mean, I received a few curveballs and what is this? Why ain't that on the list? It's like, hey, it's just my opinion, you know, and what I'm doing here and my reasoning, this is why I like it. So,
yeah,
you know, if it really pisses you off, like, I'm sorry, but it's just something, you know, like, don't judge my character or my opinion without, you know, understanding my reasons of why I'm saying what I say. Like, don't jump to conclusions. That's all. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say. But, yeah, it's towards the end of the year. I had to get this out of my gut. Sreten, thanks for listening to the album. Just on a quick, like, dude, I'm going to do this. You know, here's going to be, you know, here's the subject. Like, just check this out. Just throwing this random, you know, I mean, it's not that obscure in the hip hop world, but it's not an easy listen. So, you know, I'd like for the listener to check it out, check out all Earl's stuff, and let me know what you think about this. Like, do you think it sucks? Do you think it's garbage?
How could they tell us what they think?
They could call.
Is there a voicemail number?
There's a voicemail. What's that number, Sreten? Because you're looking at it.
812-963-4727. 812-963-4727.
All right, and we're going to do some fun green screen stuff, so look forward to that. It'll be on the YouTube channel. Soon. But everybody, thanks for listening. Subscribe, share, conquer, all that good stuff. And we'll see you next week. Adios. I'm musically meditated.
That's right.
I'm musically meditated. That's right. I'm musically meditated.
Producer my ass over there.